Do you find it hard to be objective? Sometimes you must hear such awful stories. How do you maintain that objectivity?
I really don't think I have a choice. Like, you listen, not everything your client says is going to be achieved, or not everything your client is looking for is going to be achieved. You have to be realistic to maintain your objectivity. You know, you hear the kind of barstool stories of people saying, well, I'm going to get half of everything, just as an example. You're not necessarily going to get half of everything. So I'm going to maintain my objectivity to make sure that you're not going to be under any illusions that it's going to be exactly as you think it's going to be. So you have to maintain that going forward. You do.
Is it expensive to get a divorce?
It can be, yes, but it's important to know that a divorce in a situation where you have a couple perhaps with no property, maybe they're just renting, that's certainly something that's quite straightforward. The more assets, the more complications that are involved in each different case will increase the cost. Also, the attitude of the parties and the legal professionals involved. The shorter, the more concise it can be, straight, focus on what you're looking for, cuts out the complication and reduces the costs.
How do you get a divorce in Ireland?
Okay, so to get a divorce in Ireland, there are specific timelines that are set down. So you have to be living separate and apart for 2 out of the 3 previous years before you can make an application to the courts for a divorce. You don't have to have a judicial separation beforehand. Some people think you do. You don't. Just so long as you're separated for 2 out of the previous 3 years, you can then apply for your divorce in the Irish courts.
How long does the divorce typically take?
So, how long the divorce takes, I would say, depends on the parties involved. Because there are so many different aspects to a divorce that if you become embroiled in the small, tiny details, then it's going to take longer because you're starting to fight over the small things and you're forgetting about what your main objectives were when you came in. And I know it sounds a little bit emotionless to say objectives in a divorce, but the reality is you need to come out of it with somewhere to live, you need to come out of it with your kids looked after, most importantly, and you need to come out with a fair division of everything.
So you can't just wake up one morning and say, I want a divorce today?
No, there is time constraints on it. However, there are exceptions. Example, domestic violence situations where the timelines, if agreed, it can be overlooked a little bit.